Oh, and you guys could hear all of that. Okay, well, this will be edited out. Hi, welcome everybody to Fit Lizzy Live, third episode of my health and wellness and fitness podcast. Um, Thanks for watching the previous two, and thanks for joining me on these little chats. I hope they're useful to you, and I hope you're learning stuff. I'm Liz, if this is your first time here, and I am a personal trainer and certified nutritionist. And I've been so since 2014. So, I mean, I guess now a long time, 8 years. It's going to be 10 years. But anyway, welcome. And whether you're watching live or watching it later on a replay, thank you for joining me. And today's topic is going to be fat loss, which is basically what, and I mentioned this last time. It's basically what we want to focus on when we talk about weight loss. Usually we just say weight loss, right? But not all weight is created equal. And so we should really focus on wanting to lose fat and not just weight, because your weight could be water weight from eating too many salty foods, or from being on your period for women, or just environmental factors. Or you sweated too much because you were out in the desert somewhere, or you didn't drink enough water, so you're dehydrated, so now you lost a lot of weight. But it's just water, and water doesn't really, and you need to be hydrated, right? So you need to have water in you. Um, but it doesn't really affect your overall body composition in regards to lean and fat mass, right? So the other kind of fat is muscle mass, and we want that. Like I mentioned also in the previous pods, um, muscle doesn't necessarily make you bigger. You can have muscle, you can have small tone type muscles that are constantly burning calories at rest, and not be huge. So don't be afraid of building muscle, because muscle is going to help you burn more calories at rest, which means you will store less fat and or burn more fat if you're trying to get rid of some. So that's another kind of weight, is muscle weight. And if we gain muscle weight, that's good. If we gain fat weight, that's not good. So that's why I like to say losing fat and not losing weight, so that we know that we are talking about the right kind of weight that we're losing, fat weight. So the question on everyone's minds is how to lose fat and keep it off, but not just keep it off in a safe and healthy way. There are a lot of products, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of fad diets, a lot of extreme approaches to fat loss. Uh, and they're not all healthy. And more importantly, they're not all sustainable. Most of them aren't sustainable. You have to continue that extreme process, or you have to continue taking that pill or that injection or something unnatural like that to continue to burn fat and keep the body composition that you've achieved. And so this is true about the methods I'm going to explain, but they're also lifestyle changes. They're not additives. They're not extra unnatural things that you're doing. They're, in fact, very natural things that you can do to help you lose fat and keep it off. So before you reach for the knife or the surgery or the pills or the injections, um, try these things first and give it time. Yes, you may need to be a little more patient, but you would need to be patient for injections and things to work as well. And in the long run, you'll spend much, much less money doing things this way than going to the extreme medical way. So, number one, starting, the number one thing that you need to remember is going to be that for fat loss, um, the number one thing for fat loss is making good decisions most of the time, right? So, what does that mean? That means you don't have to be perfect 100% of the time. You don't have to forsake all sweet things forever, forever and ever. Zero sweets, zero bread, zero everything. No, no, you can have them sometimes. Just most of the time, you're going to make good decisions. And you know what these good decisions are. You know that a candy bar is not the same as an apple, for example, and things like that. So, um, those kinds of good decisions, you want to make them most of the time. Give me a second. My cat is destroying one of my hip bands. Hey, 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 stop. No, no, no. Blue. No. Here, I'm going to show you. So this is Blue, and I didn't realize that he was in here in the gym when I closed the door, and he was eating one of my hip bands. So he's going to be kicked out. Dora. Oh, there's another one. Dora, get out. Go. Go, you two. Go. I can't believe these guys. I can't believe him. He was tearing my band. He was tearing my band. He's picking these elastics out of. Well, I need new ones anyway. Okay. All right. Sorry. Where was I? Yes, make healthy decisions most of the time. So that's basically rule number one. And then I will give you what these good decisions look like so that you can make them most of the time. All right. But this basically is say make good decisions Monday through Friday, for example, is what I do. I make the decisions Monday through Friday, sometimes Friday afternoon. And then over the weekend, I have more freedom. I give myself more freedom of, you know what, I want cookies with my coffee this morning. And I'll have a couple of cookies on Sunday, for example. Or on Saturday, I'll have a burger, with rice. And that's it. But I had a burger and fries and cookies on top of during the week. I had bread and I had sandwiches and I had pasta and I had dressings and I had ice cream. That would be a lot. If I do it during the week and on the weekend, then it's too much. But if I'm good all week, if I eat clean all week and just focus on my nutrients, and then on the weekend I can have cake if I want to, and it doesn't make a difference because it's a balance. It's balance. It's all about balance. So that's what I mean by making good decisions most of the time. It's just find when it's easy for you to make these good decisions and really focus on that. And most of the time, just opt for the better grains, opt for the better whole foods, all of these things. And then on the weekends, or if you're on vacation, or if you're out with friends, then yeah, have the appetizer, have the quesadilla, have the drink. Just don't have them every day. That's basically like just that alone. Just if you take anything from this podcast today, if this is the only thing you hear and it stays with you, is that just make good decisions most of the time. And that'll make a difference already if you're conscious about it most of the time and make conscious good decisions most of the time regarding your nutrition. And you know what they are. You know what they are. More vegetables, less processed foods. We're going to get to this, but you know what it is. So just most of the time. That's it. Takeaway. That's the main takeaway. Now, going to the specifics of what these good decisions look like is what I was just saying. Eat fewer processed foods and eat more whole foods, right? We know this. Processed foods, things that come in packages, things that have been through a process, things that have been broken down, put together, mixed with other ingredients, have additives and preservatives added to them, and then put in a box and shipped and then brought to your store for you to buy. Those things, avoid them. Processed things that have sugars added to them, things that have fats added to them, things that have flavors added to them, things that have colors added to them. Avoid all of those, limit them. 80% of the time. And then on the weekends, sometimes you can have them. And you'll start seeing how these things affect you. For example, I used to eat candy all the time, right? When I was in college and still after college for a while. Um, and I didn't realize this until now. Like I've always had trouble sleeping and it's a normal thing for me. It's that's just how I'm built. But it made it even worse. And I didn't know this, that the junk, the candies I was eating was making it worse because I was eating Skittles and gummies and things with a lot of bright colors in them. And when I studied nutrition, I found out that the combination of some of these colors, these added colors, are what give kids their hyperactivity and are what can cause you to not be able to sleep. They're kind of like stimulants in a way, and so they won't let you get to sleep. So I had forgotten about that recently, and I had a bag of M&Ms one night before going to bed and I could not sleep. And I forgot about the fact about the colors, and I just couldn't sleep. And I was tossing and turning and tossing and turning. Finally, like I fell asleep at like 5 in the morning or something, and then woke up shortly after, and I felt horrible. And then during the day, I kept thinking like, but why? I didn't drink a lot of coffee, and I started going through my day, and then I'm like, and then last night all I had were M&Ms, and I was like, oh my God, it was the colors. And so I forgot, but it's true. The colors don't, I can't sleep if I eat a lot of added colors. And so if I want candies, I have to eat them early during the day, during the weekend, because if not, I'm not going to be able to sleep. So if you start cutting out all those things, these processed foods, when you only have them sparingly, you will start seeing the negative effects that they've actually had on you this whole time, but you don't realize it because to you it's normal. It's crazy. So that's one of our good decisions is to avoid processed foods. Same thing with like packaged, like breads and things like that. They have a lot of sugars, which of course calories, stored fat immediately. If it has sugars in it, you want to avoid it most of the time because that doesn't help your fat loss weights. Because sugar turns into fat in your body. So sugar equals fat, fat equals fat. Just remember that. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme. And then like cookies and things like that, right? So there are a lot of flours, very processed white flours, wheat flours, and so that's the kind of flours and grains that we want to avoid. Yes, eat your what's it called, like kind bars, those, well, those don't have grains at all, but eat your like sprouted grain breads, or your things like that, whole grains and things like that. But just like packaged white processed wheat with sugar in it is not something that you should be eating most of the time. So definitely that should be avoided most of the time. So those are fewer processed foods. Anything in a wrapper, anything that's been highly processed, definitely eat fewer of those. And eat more whole foods. What does that mean? That means foods that you can still see what they are, how they are supposed to be. So like when you buy a tomato, it's a tomato. It is still a tomato. It's not tomato sauce that's processed. It's a good type of process because it's just tomato with salt. But like that tomato can is processed and the tomato itself is just whole. It's a whole tomato, right? It's original form. So when you can still see the original form of this food, that's what you want to eat. You want to see that it's a lettuce. You want to see that it's a a zucchini. You want to see that it was a chicken at some point, a fish, things like that. That it's a bean, that it's a all of these things. So whole foods means you can still see what the food is and what it came from. So eat more of those, and that means that part of that is to fill up on these whole foods. So that's another one, is to fill up on these whole foods, meaning fill up on vegetables, fill up on lean protein. Those are the things that you should be filling up on. Everything else, cheese is processed. Cheese doesn't grow like that. It doesn't come out like that, right? Cows don't produce cheese, they produce milk. And so cheese is processed, it's high in fat. So that's one of the things you're going to, like set aside. That's not as important as your vegetables, fruits, and proteins. So make sure you fill up on those whole foods. And then add maybe a little bit of cheese for flavor, right? A little bit of honey on your fruit or your yogurt or whatever it is, your salad dressing. That'd be amazing, right? A little bit of whatever it is of the carbs. So that's two tortillas, two corn tortillas, one sprouted grain wrap on the side. The focus of your meals should be whole foods, vegetables, and lean proteins. Whatever that is to you, if you're vegetarian, then that would be a combination of uh, grains and legumes or other grain protein sources like tempeh and all these things. If you eat meat, then any lean cut of beef, pork, chicken, turkey, uh, fish, salmon, all those things. So that's what you want to. You want to fill up mostly on vegetables, meaning your plate should be 50% to 75% vegetables and a quarter protein uh, for the most part. If you're eating starches, like a little bit of carbs and starches and a little bit of fats, then okay, maybe you can give a quarter of your plate to those two things combined. But for the most part, your plate should be 50 to 75% vegetables and about a quarter of your portions should be protein. And those should be the most important things. As long as you eat enough of those, as long as you eat enough portions throughout the day of protein and vegetables, you will feel good. You will feel healthy. You will have vitamins, minerals, nutrients. You will have the building blocks to recover after a workout, after your day. Whereas if you're filling up on processed foods like wheats and processed grains and sugars and things like that and fats, you're not giving your body the right materials. You're not getting enough vitamins and nutrients, and that's why you feel tired. That's why you feel sluggish. That's why you feel like you have no energy and you're just kind of bleh, because of those things. Those processed foods are sapping your energy. So leave them on the side and focus on your veggies and proteins. Fill up on veggies mostly. Eat enough protein because you need it for your muscles. And remember, muscles burn more calories, so you want muscles. But we'll get to that later. Um, and eat enough. That's what's important here is don't starve yourself. If you're hungry, you should eat. You should eat enough. And as long as you're filling up with these things that we're talking about, you'll be fine. Just make sure you're not skimping on your vegetables. Make sure you're not skimping on your proteins because those are the ones that repair, nourish, and keep our bodies healthy. So definitely, definitely focus on your proteins and vegetables every day. All right, next, and this is part of our eat fewer processed foods, kind of like a sub point, is limit added sugars and fats. I can feel my throat getting dry from talking. God, I talk all day, you guys. Okay, so limit added sugars and fats. That's again part of the processed food situation. Um, because processed foods, like I was mentioning, are basically anything that goes through a process to change the original form, but they always add stuff to it. So they will usually add fats and sugars because fats and sugars are delicious, right? That's what people want. That's what people want to eat. But that's why we're where we're at in our nutrition and our health. So that's why we need to not eat those things because they're bad for you. And then because of the same thing that these companies know people want delicious, sweet, and creamy, fatty things, but they don't want to gain weight. They package things in certain ways. So here are two important things to remember about limiting processed foods, added sugars, and added fats. Number one, you need to do low carb healthy. So, yes, I am telling you to cut back on all of those processed foods specifically. And I haven't really talked a lot about breads and things, although if you make the right choices on breads and wraps and things like that, like sprouted grains, try to avoid processed wheat, do alternate grains, and brown rice and things like that are better. That's something that while you are going to lower your carbohydrate intake, you should do it right. So you should avoid the processed wheats, processed grains, breads, pastas, things like that, especially the white ones. The whiter it is, the more processed it is. So avoid those. Look for the ones that have whole pieces of grains on them and get those, get alternate pastas, buckwheat, things like that. For your oatmeals, don't get quick O's, get steel cut O's. Like the more whole, remember whole. The closer it is to its original form, that's what you want. Same thing for your grains, same thing for your grains. And if it's sprouted, even better. Um, Read your labels, always look at it. Wow, what is the first ingredient? The closest things to the top are what the thing, what it includes most of. So if the first couple of ingredients are wheat flour or wheat something, let's look for another alternative that has it either lower on the list or has it replaced with a better type of grain. A whole grain or sprouted wheat as an ingredient would be amazing. Brown rice flour, that's good too. Like quinoa flour, things like that. We're looking for that. Definitely read your. So you are doing low carbohydrate, but you're doing it right because you're choosing the right kind of carbohydrates when you do eat them. So limit your carbs and starches. So don't eat so much, like if right now you eat 2 slices of toast in the morning, cut it to one. Maybe skip the toast altogether every other day. Same. If you eat pasta every week, maybe change it to every other week and buy a better kind of pasta. Maybe a quinoa pasta or a buckwheat or something like that. If you eat granola with your fruit and yogurt, replace the granola with some just crushed nuts instead. If you like wraps and you make yourself wraps every day, replace the regular white flour wraps with some sprouted grain wraps. Boom. You're immediately increasing the nutritional value of what you eat, and you're still eating the same things because you're still getting the same thing. So if you toast in the morning, cut it in half, only have half of what you have now, maybe skip a day or two during the week, and replace that regular white bread or whole wheat bread that's just brown white bread for a sprouted grain bread. You can find those at the specialty stores. Big grocery stores have them too. I like the Ezekiel bread. That one's really, really good, and it's all sprouted. It's very healthy. Um, so you don't have to give these things you love up. You don't have to give them up entirely. You just need to replace them for better ones and limit them a little bit. Cut back, cut back. Obviously, doing what we're doing isn't working for our goals, so let's modify it. And you don't have to give it up 100%, cut it back a little bit and see the results. Once you start seeing results and you start seeing what effect these foods have on you, maybe you'll decide that you don't want to eat that anymore at all, or you can skip it more often, or you realize you don't need it, or you want to replace it with something else. You can also fully replace your breads in the mornings with the toasted sweet potato. So like slice sweet potato and put it in the toaster oven. You need to leave it there for a while because it is sweet potato. But some people like to replace their toast with that so that they're not even getting grains at all. So you can do that. So do low carb smart and healthily. That's the key here is yes, cut your carbs, but when you do have them, have the right kind. And then we're also avoiding added fats, right? So anything packaged that has added oils, butters, margarines, and stuff like that. We definitely want to stay away from hydrogenated oils or trans fats and processed saturated fats too. Avocado is like has a lot of saturated fat, but it's a naturally occurring saturated fat, unlike some of the fats in like those lards in the boxes and stuff, like that's just hydrogenated and trans and horrible. It's just the worst. It sticks to your arteries and that's what kills people. So avoid that for sure. And be careful with labels. Again, read labels because if something says low fat or non-fat, sometimes they have to add more sugar to make it palatable because like we were talking, we like sweet fatty things because they're delicious, because our bodies and our brains have learned over with evolution over millions of years that that's where calories come from and we need calories to function. And when we were out struggling to survive, we needed those calories. But right now we're not really struggling to survive, thankfully, and so we're just storing all these calories. but our brain's still wired to go for the sweet, fatty things. So labelers will say, hey, it's non-fat because they put no fat in it, but it will be too boring for you. So they add more sugar so that it's attractive to that part of your brain that likes sugar. So make sure to read labels and make sure that the fat is not just being replaced by sugar. So low fat doesn't always mean it's good. So make sure you read the labels. Also, not all fat is made equal, like I was saying. So avoid trans fats, processed saturated fats, margarine. Definitely avoid margarine. Margarine is terrible. Um, it's all hydrogenated fats that, like I said, it's what clogs up your arteries. So when you buy butter, if you want butter and butter flavor, use real butter. All the ingredients on that label should be milk and or cream and maybe salt. That's it. That's what butter is made of, not canola oil and vegetable oil and corn oil and some other random things. You don't want that. Oil is not meant to be solid, and the process they put it through to make it solid is detrimental to the, like, it changes the chemistry and the molecules of the product, and then your body doesn't know what to do with it, so it just stores it in all the wrong places. So don't. And just keep in mind, margarine is very cheap. So that's what most manufacturers use for the pastries, for the cakes, for the cookies. Same thing with big box stores. So if you're eating a lot of cookies, a lot of processed things, you're eating a lot of margarine, and it's a lot of that really, really bad, dangerous fat. So make sure to avoid things that have margarine in them. Um, Also, there's also cream cheese and creams, right? So those are going to be some things that you want to most of the time not have them. So it's like if you normally use creamy dressings in your salads during the week, like let's say for lunch, you always go to the same place. You've been having salads because you're watching your diet, you're being healthy, but you always get the ranch and you ask for a second one. So you put two full 4 ounce containers of ranch. So now you've just ruined that perfectly healthy salad. Thankfully, you're still eating the nutrients, so yay, at least you're getting the nutrition. But then you're also taking in all this unnecessary fat from the creamy dressing. So those, for example, right? Let's avoid them most of the week, and then oh, it's the weekend, or maybe on Friday. If you still go out to lunch on Friday, it's like okay, now today I'm gonna have my creamy dressing, and you just have it the once a week. The rest of the week, do vinegar and olive oil, maybe a vinaigrette, a balsamic, a lemon wedge. Do lighter options most of the week and save the creamy dressings for special occasions. So definitely not an everyday thing, and cut them again, like we did with the carbs. Cut them in half. If you usually ask for a second portion of dressing, don't ask for it anymore. If you finish one portion of dressing, maybe use half or just keep having the one, but skip it. Don't have it every day. If you're saving it for just once a week, then you can have one portion. Two portions of dressing is always too much. Just, it's always too much, no matter the dressing even. So definitely that. And of course, 80% of the time, right? Most of the time, we're going to avoid fried foods. So that means if you go to a place with fries for lunch every day, don't get the fries every day. Get them maybe once a week. If you get them every day, definitely don't get them every day anymore. If you only get them once a week, get them every other week. See if you can just go without them, period. Maybe order a different side, a salad, small salad, a fruit, something like that. If they have baked chips, maybe get the baked chips instead. If it's like a Subway, I think they have those. Um, a lot of the sandwich places have those, so that might be an option. So things like that. Those are the ways to avoid and make better decisions. Like you don't have to cut things out fully. You just need to cut out the bad types of these things. So it's like butter's fine, but avoid margarine. Have butter in moderation, right? If like you like popcorn and you put extra butter on it, then skip the extra butter. Um, next time you go to the movies, right? Maybe get a smaller portion of the popcorn and don't get the butter. You're still getting your crunch and your saltiness, but you have goals, so stay away from that butter because that one's really bad too. It's not even butter, it's also vegetable stuff. Um, Okay, so that's how we're going to make some of those better decisions most of the time, right? How to avoid the added sugars and fats in the processed foods. Okay, next up we have, I kind of mentioned this before, and it's to eat when hungry. Eat when you're hungry. You shouldn't be starving ever. Like that's not, again, thankfully we're not, most of us are not in the situation where we have to starve or we have to resort to um, things because we don't have enough to eat. But so you shouldn't be hungry. Like that, you should just always have the ability to feed yourself if you're starting to feel empty, right? So if you start to feel a little bit hungry, the secret is to make decisions, right? But once we're hungry, the animal comes out and it's just like eat the first thing there. And what are we wired to want? The fattiest, sugariest thing we can possibly find, right? The highest calorie item is going to beat everything up because our brain has gone primal and it just wants the highest calorie prey to make up for that starvation that it's feeling, which we're not starving. It's just any bare hint of hunger already feels terrible, right? To some people. So by then it's already too late. We've lost control and the beast is loose. So the secret here is to have snacks. You need to be prepared. Be prepared. Like Scar says in The Lion King. You have to be prepared. That way, the beast can be calmed before it loses all control. So, in order to be prepared, if you're at home all the time, only keep good snacks at home. Don't keep chips. Don't keep snacks high in sugar. Don't keep candy bars. Keep kind bars. Keep fruit. Keep vegetable sticks. Keep hummus cups. Keep yogurt cups. Dry fruit, seeds, nuts, stuff like that. Any of those options that you can take in your bag, throw them in your bag if you're going to be out. If you're going to be at the office, pack some of those snacks. Leave a jar of nuts or some dried fruits in your office drawer, like carry a little yogurt with you or hand fruit. Make sure you always have something so that when you start feeling hungry, you can reach and eat that good choice item most of the time. But if you're prepared for when you're hungry, then you can just eat. There's no reason to starve yourself. If you feel hungry, there's no reason to ignore it. Just eat something that's actually good for you. But if you wait and you're not prepared, you are more liable to make a bad decision because you're not thinking straight. You're not. It's your survival instinct is taking over. And it's hard to control, especially at the beginning. Once you get used to making these decisions, it's easier to control yourself and go to the restaurant or go to the store and actually grab the healthy item. It's still the other things still distract you, and especially the smells. If you get somewhere and it's like, oh, it smells like pizza, and it's like, no, no, I'm gonna have the healthy option, of a salad or something like that, right? A fruit and yogurt or something, and you'll be able to. But at the beginning, it's very, very hard. So I suggest you always are prepared. And if you're prepared, you can beat the beast, and then you'll have the beast subdued in no time. So that's a big secret to doing it. Then another thing is if you're a smaller person, like I'm 5'3", right? So if I eat in a very big plate and I fill it up, it's gonna be too much food for me. So I usually tend to get like the smaller plates so that I can fit what should be for my body size, right? So that I can put my portions of proteins and veggies that are appropriate for my size on there. So it's also a good way to kind of like manage your portions. Like if you feel like you are eating healthily, but you're still kind of stuck or plateauing or something, maybe you're eating too big of an amount. Like just think, how big am I in comparison to other people? Like if this person who is like 5'9" is eating the same, this girl, like another female about my size, about my fitness level, is eating a plate that's huge, and then mine's the same, and if I can't lose weight or fat, it's probably because I'm eating the same amount as her and I don't need that many calories to survive because I'm only 5'3". So maybe my portion should be smaller because I am also smaller, right? So kind of think about that. If you're kind of on the smaller side, like stature, height and stuff, maybe review how big your portions are because you might be eating for a bigger person. So just kind of base it on that. I like using the hand portion method because it's related to my body size. So portions are your palm size. So that's how you're going to measure your portions. Women need about 4 to 6 portions a day. Men need 6 to 8. That's protein. Then vegetables are your fist. You also need 4 to 6 for women, 6 to 8 portions for men. Carbs are in your cup hand, and usually those will all be the same amounts, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. And thumb is how you measure your fats. And that would also be 4 to 6 and 6 to 8. However, if we are trying to lose fat, we usually need to make an adjustment because obviously if we're eating that way, like check your diet and see if you're matching those. If you're trying to lose fat, definitely bring down, but you don't want to bring down, like we talked about, you don't want to bring down protein, you don't want to bring down vegetables. You want to bring down starches, carbs, and fats because those are the ones that turn into extra fat, which is what we're trying to lose. So you want to look at that part of your diet. It's like, okay, maybe not 4 to 6, maybe stick to the lower number, right? 4, but you can have less of those. Don't have less protein and less vegetables. Have less carbs and less fat. Limit those. Look at those. Analyze those in your diet and see how you're doing. Cut those back. Limit them. You know, just have them sparingly. Don't have them all the time. Um, so that's a way that I keep track of my portions staying proper to my body sizes by using that portion method and making sure that I fill up on veggies for sure. Of course, another thing that a lot of times we forget about is alcohol. Alcohol can be fun and it's especially social, right? We all like going out with our friends, family, and having a couple drinks. Okay, not all of us, but a lot of people do. And alcohol is very high in carbohydrates, obviously. And not only that, but the mixers that it's usually served with are usually very high in sugar. Some of them are even creamy and high in fat. So one drink can have anywhere from like 150 calories to 600 calories, depending on what it's made with, right? Or more. Like a white Russian, give me a double white Russian, and that's probably like 1,000 calories in a glass. And I can drink a couple of those, like at the double. Oh my God, they're delicious. If done well, they're great, but they are so high in calories and all the fat and all the sugar. That's precisely what we want to avoid. So if you are an everyday drinker, I would suggest for several reasons that you cut back. But if only for the calories and added unnecessary carbohydrates, I would definitely say to cut back on daily drinking down to maybe every other day at least, or maybe just on the weekends. And even then, not overdo it, right? Be mindful of how many drinks you've had, kind of watch your calories. Try to, if you're doing mixers, go with less sugary mixers. Like grapefruit is pretty low on sugar, and um, tomato juice. So like Bloody Marys are pretty good, pretty low on sugar. And then just like tonics and seltzers and club sodas and stuff like that are pretty low, or have none. So those are also good. If you get like a flavored vodka and uh, club soda or a seltzer, that's great. Like it's a nice little cocktail. It's lower in calories. You're still getting calories and it's still alcohol, but at least it's not as offensive as like a margarita, which I love margaritas, but those are also really high in sugar. They have sugar in them. mean, you could also ask for like a skinny margarita sweetened with something that's like low sugar or no actual sugar in it. But still, I would say avoid or limit alcohol most of the time, right? We're saying make good decisions most of the time. So if you have fat loss goals and you drink, take a look at that as well. So definitely take a look at your drinking habits, what kind of drinks you have, what kind of mixers you usually have, and go from there and make some adjustments that work with your lifestyle. Because again, we're human. We want to live. We want to have fun. You're gonna drink if you go out with your friends. Just drink something uh, less high in calories. That's all. The other bad thing about alcohol, though, is when we have too much of it, is it also affects the way that we process the foods we eat. So if you eat something fatty while you're drinking, you actually are going to store that fat more easily. Isn't that a bitch? Yeah, so that greasy meal that you really, really want at the end of a drinking night is the worst thing you could do because it's all just gonna stay. It's crazy. Yeah, alcohol doesn't allow you to properly process a lot of the things that you eat while you're under the influence, and it's not good. You also don't absorb as many nutrients, and it interferes with a lot of things. So it's just not good all around. So definitely if you do it every day or if you do it too often, scale it back a little bit and you'll see results. You'll see changes for sure and you'll feel it. Um, for sure. And if you drink heavily right before sleeping, while you sleep, your body's working on healing the alcohol damage and detoxing everything instead of recovering and restoring your body and your tissues and everything else. So that's why the next day you feel so tired and everything hurts and you're kind of like just munchy and hungry all day because you didn't get proper rest. You didn't get a proper night's rest because your body was dealing with the alcohol. You might as well not have slept. So then your insulin's all messed up, your cortisol's all messed up, your hormones are all messed up. And so now the next day you're tired, you're moody, you're hungry, and you're just going to make more bad decisions. So look at your alcohol consumption too, because that controlling that a little bit will help you control some of it. That may be all, that may be the only place you're struggling with. You might be wondering why can't I lose any more fat? Why am I stuck here if I do all these? I do make decisions most of the time, but maybe your weekends, the drinking and eating on the weekends combined is where you're having a problem. So take a look at that too. Your social life. You don't have to lose your social life. Just calculate it a little better. Just control it and plan it a little better and look at it. So make the better decisions. Try to stop drinking a couple of hours before you go to sleep and try not to drink to the point that your body just blacks out because you're definitely not going to rest that night either. And you're definitely going to feel horrible the next day. Drink enough water, and I recommend B12 before drinking because it helps reduce the dehydration and it helps you feel a little better the next day. Um, so just that. But yes, don't overdrink. Uh, avoid slash limit alcohol consumption. Um, in the same vein of drinks, beverages, right? We also sometimes forget about drinks. I talked about coffee in the previous podcast, but I'll go over it really quick. It's really easy to say, oh, yeah, well, I just have coffee for breakfast. And it's like, okay, so what do you put in your coffee? Oh, like cream, half and half, and 3 tablespoons of sugar. It's like, well, there goes 250 calories, depending on how much cream and all these things you're putting in. So let's look at that. Okay. So definitely I would replace your half and halves and your creams with a coconut milk or a coconut almond milk based creamer. Um, replacing your sugar, regular sugar with monk fruit sweetener. And boom, there's your coffee. Just coconut milk and monk fruit sweetener. If you like cream and sugar in your coffee, try those two. It's practically the same and it has a fraction of the calories. Make sure you get the unsweetened coconut milk because otherwise the other one has sugar. And the unsweetened one has, I believe, 60 calories per cup. And you're not going to put a cup of milk in your coffee, right? You're going to put at the most a quarter. So that's 15 calories and hardly any fat in your coffee. Plus like the 5 calories that coffee is, and then the monk fruit sweetener is 0 calories. So that would be 20 calories in your cup instead of close to 200. Can you imagine you wake up and you have a coffee, you're already 200 calories in, and who knows how many grams of fat and sugar in the morning, first thing, even if you don't eat anything. So no, let's switch that over to a lower fat milk, right? Something that has the least amount of calories per cup so that you can use that in your coffee and replace regular sugar with monk fruit sweetener or stevia or one of those. One of those two are really good. I prefer monk fruit because it doesn't have an aftertaste. Um, but yes, you will turn your 200 plus calorie cup of coffee into a 20 calorie cup of coffee that will be satisfying and delicious and will help you achieve your goals. So things like that, for example, if you drink teas and you sweeten them with sugar, same thing, replace it with monk fruit sweetener. If you love sodas, don't drink sodas. Sodas are not good for anybody. And I'm talking about regular and diet. Diet sodas also have the type of artificial sweetener that is not, has been proven to also have a lot of side effects and a lot of issues. In fact, a lot of like Diet Coke has been shown in studies to actually prevent people from being able to lose weight and even gain weight. It messes with your systems in a way that it's just the sweetener that they use that your body doesn't know what to do with it either. And so I don't know. It's just not. It has a lot of bad repercussions, and I can't believe that they still use it. So I would suggest you avoid Diet Coke altogether and switch to maybe those little fizzy flavored fizzy waters that they have. What are they called? Not the seltzers; those have alcohol. The ones that don't have alcohol. Um, but those little carbonated waters, right? Flavored carbonated water. And so you can maybe substitute it with that or get some iced tea, unsweetened iced tea, or sweetened with monk fruit sweetener or stevia, something like that. They have those already at the store, so you could even buy it already. And then from there, transition slowly to drinking water most of the time. If you can just drink water and teas most of the time, that would be fantastic. But of course, it's a transition, right? It's a process, and you have to move through it in a way that is going to be easy for you. So if right now you're on regular sodas or diet sodas, switch down to um, carbonated waters or maybe teas, right? Teas sweetened with artificial sweeteners and and then switch down to just waters and things like that. So give it a try. Definitely drink enough water as well. Um, and then in regards to diet and things, read labels. I know I mentioned this a couple of times, but I have to make it its own point. Is just read labels. Whatever you're going to put into your mouth and your families, if you're cooking for a family, is you want to know what's in it, right? Um, and so grab the label, grab the product, turn it around, read the label. What are the ingredients? Not just the calories. Calories aren't the be all and end all of things. All right. So for example, a little these little Cliff bars, they're 100 calories each, I think. I think they're like crackers, little cookies. And it's two little cookies is the serving. And they're only 100 calories for both. They're really thin. They're made from oats and rice, and they have a couple of like almonds and things like that, and peanuts, and it has cane sugar, and it has all these things, and it's okay. Oh, it's only 100 calories. Yeah, but they're teeny tiny like this, and it's all a bunch of grains and stuff. So you're probably going to be hungry again within an hour or two, you know? So what are you going to do then? Get another one. And it doesn't really even have that much nutrition because it's just, again, just a bunch of grains and sugar put together. So instead, I would say a kind bar would be better because it has dried fruits in it. It has whole nuts in it that you can see. It has whole grains. Some of them have whole grains in them. So that's something that, for example, I would if you look at it, well, you don't even need to look at the label on the Kind bar because you can see what's in it. And then, but if you look at the Cliff bar, it's like, oh, 100 calories. Yeah, grab it. It's healthy. It has a hiker on it. And then, but if you compare the two, it's yes, the Kind bar has 250 calories, and these little wafers have 100, but the Kind bar is going to keep you full for twice as long and has more nutrition than these little crackers that you're going to be hungry and again in an hour, probably, maybe. And you're not really getting much nutrition. It's just kind of like filling you up temporarily just so you're not hungry. Whereas, and giving you sugar, like a little sugar boost, but it's not real nutrition. It's just a sugar boost. So try to avoid the granola grain-based bars and stick to more of the nut-based bars. If you're going to do hiking or traveling or something like that where you need, or even for your snacks, right? If you want your to be snack ready, try to avoid things that list grains as the first ingredients. If the first ingredients are oatmeal and rice and these and that, try to avoid those because they're just going to have more. Avoid those most of the time. Stick to the ones that are more nut based. They also have those, and they have them at Target. I forget what they're called, but they're like 3 ingredient or 4 ingredient, however many ingredients, right? And they're these little bars, and like they're like dates, apples, cinnamon, and banana. And like that's it. That's all that's in it. And you're like, oh, that's delicious. And you're just eating this little bar made out of these whole foods. And it's like, yeah, I can't see that they're whole, but if I read the ingredients, read the label, right, I'll see that it's like, oh yeah, it's just apples, cinnamon, this and this. That's all I'm eating. That's great. And that is more nutritious. If you look at the content of vitamins and minerals and carbs and sugars and things on both of these items, you'll see where their strengths lie. So read labels, very important to read labels. It's gotten to the point that I read labels so much, and it's so important to me to know what is in my food, which it should be for you too. It should be very important for you. What is in your food? What are you eating? Ask yourself always, what is this? What am I eating? Always, always ask yourself, what am I eating? What was it made and how was it made? You know? And it's become so important to me that that's why I don't go out to eat a lot because I cook every day. I cook all my meals. I know exactly what I'm eating at every single moment. And going to a restaurant and not knowing what they cooked it in, what ingredients were in it, how, where they got it from, like how that ingredient was made. It's like I don't know all those things. And I just assume that whoever owns this business is going to try to spend as little money as possible and so get the cheapest thing possible, which is usually not the best quality. I'm not saying go spend $1 million on things, but if you buy Whole Foods, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just make your own stuff. But yeah, going to restaurants is kind of like, oh, I don't know how you made it, so I don't know. So yeah, I do kind of like I don't often want to go out to restaurants. I don't avoid them, and I do like them. But if I'm asked, where do you want to go eat? It's like, oh, it's hard for me to decide because I kind of don't necessarily want to go anywhere. So yeah, read labels so you know what you're eating. Make sure you know what you're eating so that then you can make your better decisions most of the time. See, it all this comes back. It all cycles back. It's a big circle. It's great. It's great. So that is mostly for diet. That's the diet portion. 1 hour of the diet portion. But fat loss is 95%, no, at least 90% diet. It really is. It really is. Just making these changes, just focusing on these things that I talked about today will help you with your fat loss goals. And we haven't even gotten to activity. Activity is easy. I will go over that pretty quickly because it's really easy. It's basic. I think the hardest part is the diet, but it is also the most important part. So now that we're done with that, my next suggestion, not suggestion, but the other way, the other secret to fat loss that is sustainable and healthy is to exercise 30 to 60 minutes a day, 5 times a week. That's what I would say. I say 3 to 5 because, no. I say 30 minutes to 60 minutes and 3 to 5 because they're the starting points. So when you're starting, if right now you don't exercise at all, you don't do any physical activity, then you should start on maybe only 3 days a week for 30 minutes, right? You need to start slow, start slow. But if you're already kind of doing that, if you go out for a walk every day, let's say you decided to go out walking to get your steps in, right? I need to get my steps. I'm gonna go for a walk, and you go out and you walk for 30 minutes every day, 5 times, 7 days a week, even. Great, that's awesome. But it's not getting you to your goals, so your body's already used to that level of activity. You need to give it more. So now you need to up it to 60 minutes, 5 days a week. Not necessarily walking, you can still do your walk, but now add another 30 minutes of something else, right? So that you're totaling 60 minutes of activity every day. And then once your body gets used to that, you need to heighten the intensity of the activity 5 times a day, right? So now instead of walking, maybe now you're jogging a couple of times a week or for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or however much it is. Now maybe it's instead of running, you start going to the gym a couple of times a week, and maybe 3 of the times you go to the gym, you lift a few weights or you take a class or something like that, right? You get an app, a fitness app, and you start doing those workouts every other day or every day. Whatever it is, start moving and breaking a sweat and getting your heart rate up. 5 times a week is your goal for 60 minutes each day, 5 times a week. If you can get up to that and follow all these other things that I'm telling you, you will achieve your fat loss goals and you will continue to maintain. But you need to maintain this lifestyle. This isn't temporary. This will be your new lifestyle. This is your new lifestyle. This is a healthy, balanced lifestyle that will allow your body to function properly. It will allow it to burn efficiently, calories efficiently, and it will be taking in proper the amounts of calories and proper nutrition to do all its functions properly. And that's all you really need to do. So as for what kind of exercises, you want to break a sweat at least twice of the days per week. So out of the 5 days that you're exercising, you want to sweat, like properly sweat twice a week. So maybe those 2 days, you want to go for a run, or um, take what's called like a CrossFit class, or do a high intensity training workout on those days. Go for what's it called, like a boot camp, something like that, twice a week. The other days you can do light weight training, a combination of things, right? You can do like a low intensity cardio, get on the treadmill, get on a bicycle, something like that, aerobics, Zumba. And then the other days you can do some light weight training. You can get on the machines, like the weight machines at the gym, lift some dumbbells, do some strength training classes at the gym or on videos, whatever it is. You want to do a variety of things. So you have 5 days to exercise. You could do a different thing each day. You could run one day, do weights the next day, high intensity training. Yoga can be probably at the end of the week, and then do another low intensity cardio, maybe cycling. And then on Friday, you do yoga. There's 5 days of 60 minutes of activity, and you can do a different thing every single day and do that every week. Just do a different thing every day. If you don't like doing a lot of different things, then let's do simple. Let's do something simple. Do a 30 to 60 minutes on a treadmill or a rower. You can do 30 minutes on each one. That's 3 times a week. And then the other 2 days, you're going to do um, high intensity strength training. Boom, that's it. So full body, high intensity strength training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you just get on a couple of cardio machines and go. That's it. That will make a big difference. Once you start getting bored of the cardio machines, you can start doing some other work. There's a million things you can do. There are a lot of activities, and you just need to find something to do for 60 minutes, 5 times a week. And that's it. It could be anything. It can be anything. If you do those things and move with purpose, you will definitely lose fat. And if you continue to stay active and move, you will continue to keep the weight off, to continue keep the fat off. So what's important is to move more in general, right? So you are going to exercise those 60 minutes. That's going to add a lot, but move more and move with purpose. So consciously choose to get up and move a little bit more. Consciously choose to, I'm not going to sit all day in front of the TV today. I'm going to reorganize this. Anything, reorganizing your closet is not sitting down. So that's activity. Not to say that's going to replace your 60 minutes of exercise, but just do more things, do more, move more, and think about, be conscious about how much you move and how much you sit, and try not to be still as much. Just move more. That's all. Move more in general and add up to 5 days per week. And now my final tip for natural, successful fat loss that is also healthy and sustainable is something you're not going to expect unless you've heard it before, but most people are surprised when they hear it, is get enough sleep. You need to rest. If you don't sleep well, if you don't sleep enough, like I was talking about with the alcohol, your body will not be able to function properly. And one of the biggest things it does is that when your hormones are out of whack because you didn't get enough rest, you lose control of your satiety, your ability to feel full, to feel content, and your ability to know when you're hungry and when you're not. So the hormone that makes you feel not hungry is down completely when you don't sleep well, don't sleep enough, when you don't get enough rest. That hormone is not working. So there's no block. So you constantly have that feeling of, oh, I'm hungry, I want to eat, because the hormone that blocks it is not there because you didn't sleep enough. And so you're just kind of like wanting to eat all day. So it's really hard to control your cravings. You end up eating all the things all day, all the wrong things. So that's sabotaging you. Not sleeping is sabotaging your fat loss goals. Not sleeping enough is sabotaging your weight loss goals. So fat loss, fat loss. Let's remember fat loss. Yeah, so make sure that you're getting enough sleep at night. Um, it's recommended to get at least 7 hours of sleep. If you can get 8, that's just fantastic. There's a very, 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 very small population um, of people that can function properly, 100% like normal, with only 6 hours of sleep or less. But it's a genetic rarity. So if you think you're one of those people, you're probably not, because that's what I thought when I heard of this. And then I saw what genetic markers it was related to. And no, I am not one of those people. They are very rare. And the reason why we think we can function with less than 6 hours of sleep is just because with other things, it's normal to us. The way we feel with 6 hours of sleep or less is normal to us, but it is not correct. It is not right. Try to get yourself to sleep on a regular schedule and try to get at least 7 hours of sleep per night. And you will see how different you feel and how easier it is to control your cravings, and how easier it is to even have the energy to do things, or feel motivated to want to make these good decisions. It'll be amazing. Like if you struggle with sleep, make sure, like, maybe talk to your doctor about supplementing with melatonin. I've had a lot of success with it. I take melatonin every night. But I mean, you always check with your doctor, right? Same thing for this podcast, right? This isn't medical advice. Just talking by experience, from experience of myself and my clients, what I've seen with them and what's worked with them. So I'm just sharing, my experiences. But I've done really well with melatonin. So definitely, if you struggle with sleep, um, I would look at two things. One is it stress? Are you constantly thinking about stuff? If so, maybe start writing things down, write a journal, maybe deal with those situations, see someone about it, right? Talk to a counselor or someone who can help you deal with these issues that are keeping you up at night, literally, because it's not helping you. Um, but if you just can't seem to fall asleep, like if you're just not sleepy, I would ask your doctor about maybe supplementing with melatonin. You know, it's natural. It's a natural thing. I usually I started low. I started with just 3 milligrams and then built it up until I found a dose that works for me. But that's why it's good to make sure your doctor is okay with it, right? So just to be sure. Uh, but most people that I've talked to that use it have done really well with it. So that's just something that's worked for me. So yes, sleep, 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 sleep. It's very, 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 very important in order for you to meet and just crush your fat loss goals and maintaining it. And once you start sleeping better, you'll also start feeling different and you'll start seeing results as well. And that's it. Okay, so to recap really, really quick, fat loss, how to lose fat and keep it off in a healthy and sustainable way. Number one, make good decisions most of the time. What does that mean? Avoiding processed foods, eating more whole foods, limit added sugars and added fats, eating when we're hungry, being prepared with healthy snacks, healthy foods. Um, Eat mostly vegetables. Fill up on vegetables and lean proteins. Leave the fats and carbs as a little extra, as an add on. Eat fewer carbs and fats, you know, cut them a little bit in half, and eat better choices. Choose better carbohydrates, choose better grains, choose better sweeteners, choose better items, right? Um, Avoid and limit alcohol consumption as well, if that's an issue. And read labels so that you can make all these good decisions better. And as for activity, move with purpose. Move more and move with purpose. Exercise 60 minutes a day, 5 times a week. That's your goal. Start with 3 days a week, 30 minutes. Start slow and then keep ramping it up. You're always challenging yourself, always moving. Move, move, move. And break a sweat at least twice a week. And lastly, make sure you get enough sleep. Stick to a steady, consistent schedule if possible, and try your best to get at least 7 hours of sleep per night. If you follow these tips, if you follow these basic guides, I know for a fact, and based on many, many cases, you will see results. You will be able to lose that unwanted fat. You'll be able to lose those extra inches and you will feel better and you will be able to keep them off. This will be your new lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. This isn't a quick trick. This isn't a secret way to do it quick and keep it off. It's like that's not. This is the way. This is the only way. This is the way. Yeah, I've been watching too much Disney, Disney Plus. But yes, this is the only way to do it, to actually lose the fat and keep it off sustainably. The reason why I reiterate in sustainable is because in order for it to continue to sustain the fat loss, you need to be able to sustain this way of life. Keto is not sustainable. Not eating is not sustainable. Fully zero carb is not sustainable. For fully zero fat is not sustainable. Eating only two types of foods is not sustainable. Eating like this, well balanced, staying active, cutting out processed foods, this is sustainable. And if you're able to sustain this lifestyle, you will be able to keep and hold on to your fat loss. And you will gain muscle. And don't be afraid of gaining muscle. You won't bulk up, I swear. As long as you stick to this, that muscle will take the place of the fat and just burn calories for you, even while you're just sitting there watching TV. All right. So Please let me know what you thought of this pod. Let me know if you have any questions, and definitely let me know what you would like me to talk about, and I will try my best to cover it in one of the upcoming pods. And make sure to subscribe and like if you want more of these pods. Um, I'll be doing one again in 2 weeks. So remember, it's every 2 weeks we have Fit Lizzy Live, and I'll be talking about different things. So stay tuned for what the next topic is going to be. I'm still deciding between a couple. So, but also leave your comments in below, and I will definitely read them and get back to you with any answers, and or we'll be covering whatever requested topics in the next podcast. All right. So thank you again for joining me. And I hope this is all useful to you, as useful as it has been to me and to my clients over the years. And this is really tried and true method for fat loss and maintenance. So I hope it works. Give it a try and let me know. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.